So there's a high likelihood this is going to be the last video of this series, as we are getting ready to put most of the old bike back together now. So my plan for today is, and as I said in the last video, there's only 5 days remaining now until the show next Saturday. So my plan today is get our controls on the bars, get everything hooked up, so clutch cable, left side controls, right side controls, brake cable, throttle, all that good stuff. At that point, get our speedo and our indicator lights and stuff on. Should be good then to put our tank on. At that point, we'll be ready to have a bike that runs off its own gas tank. Then we'll test all our lights and stuff out as far as the headlight's concerned. And then we're going to dive into fixing the one broken blinker and then cleaning up and painting the rest. So, diving in. So one of the other things we got now as well is shout out to Daryl. Thanks buddy for the printing off the stickers larger for me. It was my fuck up. I gave him the wrong size when I asked for the stickers he was printing off. So these ones, as you can see, will go from the front of the bung to about halfway down the spine of the tank. That's going to be about perfect. So all I got to do is take my time and cut these out. So we'll do a fast forward of arts and crafts time once I get the bars put together. So I took a bit of time to hook up the front brake here. See, it comes on up through the guides here on over to where the front brake is too, so that's working now. I also went ahead and just put on the instruments on the little cluster holder thing that the light attaches to, all the stuff. I'm just getting ready to start plugging a few things in now to the harness. So I'm not long back from the Honda shop. I got a new petcock on order, should be here tomorrow. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do a quick bit of Bondo work on these cracks here for our sprocket guard on the motors. We'll get that cleaned up, painted and ready for install, I guess once we get the chain and sprocket on. And then we're also going to go ahead and pull all these. Two, three, four. So get our blinkers, indicators all fixed up. So as you can see, this one's the one that's broken off. So we go ahead and take this all apart, get that welded up, get it back together, and then we'll give these a good cleaning up and a painting. So at this point I'm ready to straighten out these couple mount points. Brackets are good, just need paint. The stocks, one of them needs to be welded back together, so you can see this fits on like so. Yeah, okay, like so. So I'll give this one a clean up on the grinding wheel. Tack these together and then grind it so that we're all good. Hit all this with some paint. The silver paint's going on all these silver components. These things here go black. And then while that stuff is drying, I'll give the sprocket cover a quick sanding and painting, and then when all of that is drying, I need to actually go out to our hardware spot here and pick up 2 new screws for the this month. Come on, pick up 2 new screws for mounting the lights, because you can see this one here is sort of bent. By sort of, I mean it's like bent off. So one thing I neglected to do at the start of this is I didn't look at the other one that was still tacked, so I didn't realize there were 2 fins here. This one only had the 1 on it. So we're going to do so this one is going to be on this side, so I'm just going to get the other part out again. Require to put a couple blobs here and then shape it so it looks like this fin right here. So I'll take care of that now, then we should be good to get these things ready for paint. So I went ahead and got that built up with the welder, just with a few spots here and there. I'm going to go ahead now, get this into the, or get the grinder on this to shape it, and then finalize it with the, one of my files, and we should be good to get ready to start cleaning up for paint. So here we are after a quick go on the grinding wheel. This is the original, and this is the one we're making look like the original now. So what I need to do next is I'm going to come in with the just one of my files and clean that up and give it that crisp edge like this one has right here. Okay, so that's our housings and lenses and a few rubbers cleaned up using a bit of the old Fast 505 and some solid Fruit of the Loom undies. So these are all cleaned up. I think what I'll do is I'll wait until I get these put back together on the bike, and then I'll just hit the exposed components, plastic components. So it's gonna be like this here, these things. With the back to black restore, then we'll just give a quick wipe on and wipe off once it's back together. So there we go. At this point, we've got the inner plastic and the rear fender on. So I guess the next thing I'm going to start looking at doing is getting the battery, or sorry, the air box on. So that's the air box installed. And oh buddy, that was a lot of fun. It took me about a half hour, I'd say, just to get that on the bike. So at this point, I'm probably going to stick this side panel on. No leaks on the new petcock. We should be good. I'm gonna go ahead and stick it on the bike. So it's looking good. Looks even better from the other side because we got that cover on. Let's give it a quick twist around so you have a quick look. So yeah, I really like the look of that. Front fender that I bought 8 years ago from Thailand, which is supposed to be factory color. Doesn't exactly match the factory color. But at this point, you know, that's all you can do. So, do that again, bike give me a heart attack, Christ. So I quickly tested this horn and it kind of went and didn't really do a whole lot. So I'm going to take it apart in hopes that whatever's wrong with it I can fix. And if that's the case, then I'll blast it up and get it ready to paint and put back on the bike. So I just finished sandblasting and rebuilding this horn. I'm going to give it a shot of the silver paint so it looks good up on the front of the bike, but it wasn't working before. It would just kind of click at you and not do anything, but now when I tested it, it does this for me. So, I got a working horn now. That's fantastic. I don't have to order something and wait for 3 weeks for it to get here from China. So, this is your run-of-the-mill Nikko Japan 1.5 amp 6 volts. It's totally not putting it at 100 decibels these days, but at least it does a little beep for me. So I'm going to go ahead, tape up these connectors, hit everything with some silver paint, and then we'll let it dry and we'll get it installed on the bike. And then we can pick up with the blinkers. So it's Friday, June 14th. It's the day before the Honda show. A few things are not here and are not going to be here in time. The taillight lens I ordered is not going to make it here. And that means I'm not going to be able to hook any of this stuff up back here, but that's fine. I'll take it to the show, put the seat on and take it to the show. I'll just leave this the way it is for now, no big deal. Because the main entry was the ATC anyways. I don't even have this on the paperwork to say that I'm entering it, so. But either way, what I'm going to do, since I've had issues with the wiring up front here, for some reason I can't figure out why blinkers aren't working, headlights not working. I'm just going to go ahead and button this up, get the light on. Essentially I'm just going to make the bike look as good as I can. I'll be able to ride it. I'm going to get the sprocket, the chain and all that stuff on. I'll get the back brake hooked up and get the seat on. The other thing is the seat's pretty haggard too. I should have ordered a seat cover for that, but I didn't. But I should be able to clean it up pretty decent. I've got the leather cleaner or something that I picked up the other day. So I'm going to take the next hour or so, do everything that needs to be done, and then I'm going to go ahead and we're going to have a look and clean the bike, this and the ATC up, and then this evening, so it's ready to go tomorrow morning. So I went ahead and I buttoned up the headlight. Now things are looking nice and neat up front. Like I said, I'm having some issues with the wiring up here, but at this point I just don't have time to address it. I just want to get the bike ready for the show. So that's done. The last thing I have to do to hook up front now is the speedo cable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the speedo cable guide, this thing right here, cleaned up on the wire wheel. I may shoot it with the silver paint. I may shoot it with black, I'm not entirely sure yet, or maybe I'll just clean it up and leave it raw. Either way, I'm gonna get that cleaned up, I'm gonna get that painted or something, and then we'll put it on the bike.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So I got this cleaned up, and I went ahead and I hit it with the silver paint. I figured it would look nice sticking off the fork in silver, and then with the black cable going down through it. Okay, so I'm just back in the hardware place. I picked up some panhead stainless Phillips heads for holding the heat shield on the front pipe. So that's done. These are a bit too long, so I had to cut them off because they only go into like a little thing on the edge of the pipe. There's only like a few millimeters there to fit in. After that, we should be just focusing on getting our brakes hooked up in the back, getting our clutch cable on, getting the sprocket on the other side, and then I think we should be good to go for a little scoot out the driveway. We'll see how it goes. to start installing the rear brake lever and the pulling assembly, the arm, whatever. So let's get that on. Then we have a bike that'll stop front and back. So I went ahead and I hooked up the rear brake lever. I had a fun time trying to figure out how to get the spring back on, and I thought I had to hook onto this, but instead it actually hooks in the back here. I got the new stop switch and stop switch spring installed as well, so now everything is working good, and I've got it hooked up back here as well, so now we got some back brakes. So now I'm going to move on to getting the bolts in here for adjusting chain tension. One of them is bent, so I got to straighten that out. We'll get those put in, and then I think we're ready to put the chain on. So that's it for the seat. I went ahead and tried this, well, first I used some Zep. I got the grease and junk and shit off the seat. Then I finished off with this Simonized 2-in-1 leather care stuff. It was just like $8 or whatever at Canadian Tire. And it turned out pretty decent. I'm still gonna order a new cover for the seat because this one's pretty old. There is a hole in it here. And then that'll give me an opportunity to take that off and then potentially repaint the pan as well. For the meantime, for the show tomorrow, this should be perfectly fine. So it's the day of the show. I ended up stopping working last night because my family arrived for the weekend. We had barbecue and a few drinks. So I come back in and finish it up this morning. So what I've got left to do, I've got to get the back axle tightened down. So I've got my chain tensioning adjusting screws, bolts, whatever you want to call them, to install. Then get this tightened down. Then we'll get the chain on, the sprocket on, well, the sprocket then the chain, and then we'll get our logos cut out and put on, and that's it. Like I mentioned, the back of the bike is going to remain this way. I'd rather leave it like that than put a broken light fixture on it for the time being. So that's that. So I got the sprocket mounted, the chain is on, it's tensioned properly. Now all I have left to do before the show anyways is just wipe the dust off these foot pegs because they've been sat collecting dust for some time. Get them installed, get our stickers for the tank cut out and installed, and then I'm going to take this for a quick run just to make sure everything is good. So we're about a couple hours away from show time. I just finished getting the pegs on. You can see the chain tensioning bolts. All good. Chain is it. Not too tight, not too loose. And here's the other side. The brakes are all adjusted now, so it should be good. Peg on this side. So the last thing I need to do before the show, well, the second last thing I need to do is Honda logos on the tank. And once we get those on, then I'm going to give that and that a quick wipe down with some microfiber just to make them look nice and spiffy. So it's arts and crafts time. So that was my very first ride since this whole project started. It's shitty with the door open here. Put her from this side. So yeah, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna move the Cougar and my truck. I gotta go out around the garage, pull my trailer out, get that hooked up, get the give these two a quick wipe down, get them loaded up in the trailer, and then head it on down to the Honda dealership to get them set up for the day. that's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of footage I got to show. There's a few people around, so it's a bit crowded, but you still get to see a bunch of bikes. So currently still waiting on the tail light for this. When that gets here, I'll go ahead and get the tail light and the blinkers hooked up, and we should be finally finished. So maybe there'll be one more video, but in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time.